equipment regulation. I want to make sure that you have been able to download or to look at the equipment regulation that we have attached as part of your lesson materials. And I want to review it with you as follows. There are 3 items that are considered to be equipment. They are firearms, a baton, which is to be used for defensive purposes only, and handcuffs. A security guard who is given permission to use any of these pieces of equipment does so in compliance, in strict compliance with the regulation. Let's review some of the guidelines here. Section 1, an individual licensee may use a firearm in the provision of private investigator or security guard services only if he or she is authorized to carry the firearm under Section 20 of the Firearms Act. We're not reviewing Section 20 of the Firearms Act. You're able to do that on your own if you wish, but do be aware that it's very rare that a security guard or any other licensee actually uses a firearm unless they are directly involved in the transportation of valuables, such as the transportation of money. Section 2, sub 1. An individual licensee may use a baton in the provision of private investigator or security guard services only if the following conditions are met. 1, the baton is issued to the individual licensee by the licensed or registered business entity that employs the individual licensee. And 2, the individual licensee may use the baton for defensive purposes only. Subsection 2 of Section 2 reads, a licensed business entity shall carry insurance to cover the risks associated with its employees carrying batons. And you need to understand the potential liability that exists if a security guard should unlawfully, improperly use his baton or her baton and cause injuries, use the baton unnecessarily or inappropriately, causing injuries to a member of the public. Section 3, an individual licensee may use handcuffs in the provision of private investigator security guard services only if the handcuffs are issued to the individual licensee by the licensed or registered business entity that employs the individual licensee. And in fact, you should remember that the only security guard who actually has or is assigned handcuffs generally is somebody involved in retail loss prevention. In Section 4, an individual licensee may not use cable ties or strip ties as restraints in the provision of private investigator security guard services. And finally, Section 5, a licensed business entity shall ensure that the individual licensees employed by it comply with this regulation. So there is an obligation on the part of the guard to ensure that he or she does not use a piece of equipment that has not been issued to him or her by the organization for which they work. The organization has a responsibility to ensure the guard is properly trained in the use of a baton or another piece of equipment such as handcuffs. Very seldom will a security guard be in a position to use firearms, and certainly not on an entry-level basis, and do be aware of the potential damage that could be caused through the improper use of any such equipment. You have a great responsibility placed upon you, and you need to be very careful to warrant that responsibility and trust.